My name is Monique Constance, and this is Process, and I have the blessed honor of talking with Khujo Goodie, CeeLo Goodie, Big Gipp, CeeLo Green, collectively known as Goodie Mob. So it has been 25 years since the release of Soul Food. How do you feel about that? Does it feel like 25 years? Does it feel like it's been that long?
Not at all. For me, not at all, man. I mean, I wouldn't even really know it had been 25 years until, you know what I'm saying, the 25th year anniversary of Soul Food. And a lot of people on social media acknowledging it too, because like I said, we just really do music because that's our life. That's just what we do. And we have no conception of time sometimes. It's just that the music kind of let us know, remind us of some times that we had. So it really doesn't feel like 25 years, but yeah, you're right. It is 25 years in the hole with it, man. What you think? Oh.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think almost immediately there's a feeling of fortunates, a feeling of favor. You know what I mean? And we immediately, I know, I almost immediately want to continue to go forward. So it's like you get a chance to revel in it for a moment. You know, be appreciative that you've been preserved and maintained and sustained, and you've been able to do some significant things along the timeline. Mm-hmm. And then at that point of embrace and acknowledgement, like you immediately start to try to, then re-identify with your ability and how, you'll be used or how you want to choose to go on and go forward from that point. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you say that, because if we think about 25 years ago, Bill Clinton is president, Zell Miller's governor of Georgia, Bill Campbell is mayor of Atlanta. Atlanta's going through all of these changes. It's preparing for the Olympics. They're beginning to break down all of these housing projects. What about this era moved you spiritually enough to say, okay, this is the story that I need to sit down and put on wax? Like, what was it about this time in Atlanta that really pushed you? Because you guys were young too. You guys were in your early 20s. So what about that time made you say, okay, this is the story that I need to tell?
I don't know. I think it was also the contrast. Well, you got to first start off with the two records that Goodie Mob started off with, and that's Call It a While and Get Up, Get Out, and Get Some. So people was expecting Goodie Mob to be different than Outkast anyway. So I think that if you take those two songs, then you come up with the album Soul Food. So I just really feel like that we took the atmosphere that was going on around us and we just applied it to the music. But we had to make sure that people understood that we were hip-hop artists, mm-hmm. and that we were here to bring a creative force to the music business. And I think, we was fighting for the respect of Southern hip-hop. So I think it all kind of like, it all kind of helped us, as far as being energized and focused. It was so much going on in the city. Like you said, the Olympics was going on. The Kuwait War was going on. It was so much to pull from during that time. So I don't know. I just think it shaped us. Well, we wanted to make sure that we made a statement. And also, we had to let people know about the political side of Atlanta, because I think Outkast really brought the culture, the player kind of stuff. I think we wanted to bring the actual culture of Atlanta to the forefront.
Mm-hmm. And y'all talk a lot of shit about Bill Clinton on the album, Dirty Bill Clinton, Mr. Clinton. Y'all talk a lot of shit about the government. Why? What particularly about those political structures were going on that enraged you so much to even start a song off with Dirty Bill Clinton, Spreading Me Some Weight? Like, what was the anger or what was the emotion behind that to even be so bold to call out these politicians so frankly?
Come on, Mo.
Well, in all actuality, in all transparency, that wasn't me. And it said that line. That line came from Cool Breeze.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? So, but
you said fuck Bill. You said fuck Marshall Clark too.
Yeah. So it was just really this time to just be uncandid. It was just time to uncensor our music. It was just a time where we felt like we wanted to just say anything, just come out, whatever was bothering us, whatever was on our mind, whatever political views we had, we wanted to make sure that we incorporated that into our music. because I mean we were young
Mm-hmm.
and we weren't scared. You know what I mean? We weren't scared of nothing at that time, and we just were ready. I mean, I can't believe I even said something about going up in the White House with my ex.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, hey, I mean, you know, all I could just say was just the passion of what we were trying to do. It was like Gipp say, it was the stance of the South. You know, we want to be heard. We want to be respected as MCs, as artists. You know what I mean? As intelligent artists, and not just as anybody just trying to make booty shaped music. You know, we were really trying to make some type of music that was gonna last and stand the test of time, and it's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, and just to put a cherry on that,
Mm-hmm.
even at those ages, you know, you can, you know, identify with yourself and then identify with those who are, you know, immediate around you. That we had political opinions at that age, which was signifying in its own regard. You know what I mean? And in its own right. And so I could see, you know, if you fell into that category of, you know, that age bracket of where you had not come into that awareness. You know what I mean? That, you know, some people were still, you know, at that age still sorting themselves out. You know what I mean? Like, you know, living at home with their parents and things of that nature and being really shielded, you know what I mean? Like from, you know, the ills of society, you know what I mean? But in the South, the ills were at our front door. You know what I mean? Like, you know, on so many occasions with, you know, the outright racism, segregation, and classism that we endured through. You know what I mean? Like historically. So all of that was on our back as well. You know what I mean? Like, and to deny that as a duty is to enable your rites of passage.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know if you all remember this, but I was doing some research and watching old interviews, and there was a Teen Summit interview from 1996, and the host to the Georgia, like the Capitol, and we're showing the Confederate flag that was still waving. And Gipp, you talked about the surveillance that they put around the city because of the Olympic Task Force. CeeLo, you mentioned, and I think to paraphrase you said, you know, it's important to use our voice because there'll be a time where we won't be able to use it anymore. Do you feel, you know, you talk about this level of consciousness and the choice to put this into your music. Did you consider yourselves to be conscious writers, or was that an external label that came on as your music gained more popularity?
I think consciousness was a category that was an extension of a subculture. Because like, especially with the populace of Atlanta being, you know, historic black colleges, you know, so that was our small talk was social consciousness, if you will. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, you know, we intentionally and deliberately, you know what I mean, like wanted to be distinguishable, you know what I mean, like because we were still carving out the identity of the South, you know what I mean, because, you know, there was still some contempt. Now, you know, of course, you know, we were connected to and considered ourselves all one South, but we weren't Rap-A-Lot, you know what I mean, like, and we weren't their content. We weren't Miami, and we were not their content. You know what I mean? And even those who had represented Atlanta prior, whether it be Arrested Development, you know, TLC, Crisscross, they had, you know, success. You know what I mean? Like, you know, but they were not the small talk, you know what I mean? Like of the communal conversation of where we were coming from. They didn't represent Atlanta in that regard. You know what I'm saying?
No, that makes sense. And that kind of leads into my next question. Because Atlanta didn't have a particular sound, and it's funny because in 1995 I was 7, and so for me to be hearing you all like in passing as a 7-year-old, what you're saying lyrically makes no sense to me. I have no idea, right? So listening to it now in my 30s, it makes a lot more sense, and it makes me feel like Atlanta. Like when I am feeling homesick, I listen to you all because the sound reminds me of driving around 285. It feels like that. But because there was no Atlanta sound at the time, what exactly did you want people to know about the Dirty South in your lyrics? What was the message about who we were as Southerners? What were you trying to convey to people?
Come on, Joe.
What we were trying to convey to people at that time was really that that we were some intelligent people down here in the South, really. Because before we came out, it was still people down here bubbling, but it just wasn't an outlet for them like we had with the Face Records and with L.A. Reid just really giving us the chance to really come out with a single called Cell Therapy. Because I'm like, who comes out with a song like that for their first single, and it's not a party song, it's not a club song, it's just a song that you know what I'm saying, that just thrown into the industry. It didn't fit with anything. So that's why I think it was something supernatural, because our whole album was about New World Order. Our whole album wasn't about cell therapy. You know what I'm saying? That song just happened to just be it happened to be ours, and we was just chosen at the time to speak on some things at that time, and it's just not resonating with people 25 years later. So I mean, that's just my take on it. You know what I mean? Not really trying to do too much. We just really want to represent for the people from Atlanta, Georgia, because the South already had a music scene, because you had the Ghetto Boys down here, you had Luke with 2 Live Crew down here, and you had 666 Mafia, you had Squeaky, you had all them boys coming out that was already doing their thing before we even got a taste of the independent bit, and they were doing the independent. We just happened to land a major situation and was just able to relay our message at the time.
Right. And you talk about the spirituality of it, you know, and it can be a very spiritual process when you're writing, when you are a vessel of words. Sometimes it's not even your story, it's not even you, you know, and when you're writing these songs, were you all writing together in terms of the writing process for this album? Did you all often come together and say, okay, I have this thing, I have this, let's put it together? Or was it separate pieces that then came together to create these songs that would eventually land on the album?
What you think, T?
We did it all those types of ways. You know, we spent some days in the studio together, trying to create songs together. Sometimes Gipp was the spearhead of a lot of the music. He would come in and drop his verse, and me and Joe might, you know, come in after it, or, you know, Lo may come in with an idea, and, you know, we'll all just kind of vibe on the idea and get in there. It really wasn't a method to the madness. You know, we just, like you said, we let God move us in the direction that he moved us in, and you got the product that you got. You know, I can't say that we strategically sat down and we said, okay, look, today Lowe's gonna go in, he's gonna create the hook. Tomorrow, Gipp is gonna go in and he's gonna lay his verse first. Then Timo's gonna come in. Like, we didn't really have no methods to the madness. You know, if the beat was jamming and we like the beat, I might come in and say, okay, ooh, I got something for that. Check this out. You know, and then we spit a verse and say, oh, T, lay it, go in there and lay it. You know, I crank up Soul Food. You know, we go in there, crank up, you know, Didn't Ask to Come. We crank up Cell Therapy. I can remember I was actually the last one to get on Cell Therapy. I mean, I don't know where I was, but all I remember is they were like, boy, that boy Joe snapped. Like, what? I said, boy, Joe snapped, man. I was like, what'd he do? They said, man, y'all, we got to go to the studio. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong. That was a long time ago, but I think we had a show at the Roxy that night. Maybe. Or somebody had a show or something, and they were like, Joe lay something, when we leave here, let's go lay our verse, let's go listen to the record. It was a Roxy.
It was the night Tupac died, and we announced it on stage.
What?
Wow.
No. Tupac died in 96. That was 96. I know, boy, we old. I know, it was a long time ago.
You sure? Damn.
Yeah, Tupac died in 96.
But we was doing a show at the Roxy. Now, you're right. It was a year later. But we was back at the Roxy.
Yeah, we was at the Roxy. I'm going to tell you why I remember this, too, because you and Gipp, I think, was on the stage or something like that. And I remember they wouldn't let me and Khujo in. I can't remember the dude's name. David Gates, I think that was his name.
Oh,
he wouldn't let it. Yeah, he wouldn't let. That's how we became friends with him. He wouldn't let us in. I guess he thought he and Joe was something to play with. But we wasn't nothing to play with that day. We said, oh, bro, we gonna get in this show. You know what I mean? Yeah, police, everything. We walked, busted through that little crowd they had, man, went straight to the stage, rocked it out. I think it was the Red Light Special with TLC. I think we did a couple of songs. I think we did Holla at You that night on the stage.
Yeah.
And then we
that's
came back.
definitely Tupac.
Yeah, we came back and we did
because Holla at You was an instrumental at the end of that DAT, and we were performing off the DATs.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I knew it was something like that. That's right. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Holla at You.
And so, you know, I think about Cell Therapy as a song and the performance of it. So you talk about Khujo and the song just opens up, you know, everybody knows the beginning instrumental, but even the way that the words and the lyrics are performed. Do you all think about that, or is that also a spiritual movement? Because, you know, Timo, you come up, listen up, little nigga, I'm talking to you. And it's just this like really, okay, well, now I'm listening, you know? So in terms of when it comes to the performance piece, are you strategic about that, or was that also an thing in the process of creating this?
That was a semi-strategy. I ain't gonna front like that. I ain't gonna say strategy, but when I was younger, I used to go to the YMCA summer camps all the time. I went to this thing called the Ollie Street YMCA over there by Washington High School.
I know what that is.
Yeah.
Damn,
My
I went
counselors
there.
used to always say, hey, yo, listen up. Hey, yo, listen up. So that's how I was like, you know, that part, I knew I wanted to incorporate that because I just can remember being talked to by my elders at that time. But they'd be like, yo, listen up. So, you know, and they were real, you know, they were like big brothers to us back then. A lot of the counselors back then were students at Morris Brown College. And, you know, and they were good leaders. You know, that was a good camp I went to. I ain't gonna lie.
Do you remember reading that verse to me, like maybe like some weeks or some months before, like because I think you had just titled it Detox at first.
Man, that boy, that got a photo, man. They got a photographic memory. I did, man. God, dog. Take a walk through Detox, man. That was it, man. That was it. God, dog. Boy, low.
What you doing? I like it when you be cussing, Miss Lady. That's kind of cute.
Sorry. I have the mouth of a sailor, and it's horrible because I'm a teacher too. I be trying not to cuss. I'm sorry. I didn't know y'all heard that.
I love it.
My bad.
Yeah, is it that cute?
But yeah, I think even too, you know, the songs that we hear on the radio, so Cell Therapy, Dirty South, Soul Food, but then there's also my personal favorite, which is Goodie Bag. So I'm going to be selfish and kind of talk about the process that went into creating Goodie Bag, because CeeLo, you snap for like 2 minutes at the end of the song, and you can feel that shit, and you're like, ooh, I can't even stop. Something, and my nigga pop, 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 you know, and like you really, really go on. Like, tell me about that song, because that's the songs on the radio, yes, but I think it's those songs of people who appreciate you, especially being from Georgia, especially really listening to the things that are outside of the mainstream. Those are the things that for me really remind me of Atlanta, and you can really, really feel, to me, especially in that song.
Joe, you got to start that one off because you started that record.
Man, you know what? Like, I think I can remember starting to write that thing at the dungeon at Lakewood. And I can remember Cool Breeze in the back and Breek in the back. And I just pulled up and they was in the back. And Cool Breeze was just saying, red hot in the summer, don't drip, don't bleed. So I kind of thought that he was kind of fucking with me. So I'm like, okay, I can say that shit too. Red hot in the summer, dope. So it just got to be a back and forth thing. So I just started writing a verse then. Then next thing you know, Cool Breeze is taking me to Stank On You in his car. So as I'm riding and everything, man, I'm just trying to incorporate everything in the rap, man. I was talking about his window was broke out and how P-Funk was giving me left hand dap, but I mean, it was just being a get over.
That man, that'll really die. I'm telling you.
Hey, man, I was just trying to see if I could jot down what I was doing through that whole day, and just trying to see if I could make a song out of it, man. Because Then when you're dealing with Goodie Mob, man, it's like you got 4 MCs and they coming from 4 different backgrounds and they gon' bust every time. So it's like you just gotta have something that's gonna be great at the end of the day, man, where everybody give you that nod to where it's like, okay, I got something for that. So it just started out with me, man, just trying to start my day off and trying to jot down what I was doing that day till I got to the studio and I just laid the verse down.
Okay, so to answer your question with me, like that's how I got started. We love the beat, we love the hook. See, and Joe, all these years, I think it dawned on me one day you could correct me if I'm wrong, but like I felt like the hook put some fire on the ass end of that weed, because in the swatch, red hot's gonna drip or bleed. To me, I thought he was saying you could chill out in Atlanta because it ain't no gangbanging, no cripping of blood. That's what I this was years later. I don't even know if I ever told that to y'all, but that's deeper than rap right there. But anyway, so my verse and then naming the song Goodie Bag, which I think I might have did, because it goes to what Joe just said. Sometimes, Gipp again would be one of those always prepared. I mean, like, always got a verse. I mean, like I got something. I might just go drop it. I didn't go last because I'm supposed to be the feature. I went last because it took me longer to write stuff. You know what I'm saying? So with that, and the reason why I didn't have a lot of stuff written down at that time, because I was more of a freestyler. And this was around the time where, we had adopted some of the Eastern ways, you know what I'm saying, of where ciphers, sitting at the park, drinking 40 ounces of Old English, like smoking a Nickelback from Poberg,
Okay.
and freestyling at the Rec, which was our community park. So, I just figured I would take try to give up, because a lot of the tones that we and things that we addressed were very serious, and the narrative was what it was throughout the greater part of the album. So I figured it would just be one that was just kind of free-spirited, freestyle, fun-loving, and just, like off the top, like to just let people know that we were embracive of that, that facet of hip-hop too, as far as Southern hip-hop is concerned.
True.
What were Southern rappers doing if you adapted the kind of cipher in the park from your Eastern colleagues? What were Southern rappers doing then beforehand?
Talent shows.
What was that?
I said talent shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sock hops.
Talent shows, skate ring.
Skate ring. That's right.
Like it was just it really was a you got to remember, like back then it wasn't a lot of clubs, so most of the hip hop we would go to either Jelly Beans, the skating rings to hear the new music. It was only one radio station during that time, so you only got to hear certain hip hop. Like when you say Southern MCs, like we really started going out to the East Side and really once we started seeing shows from Luke Skywalker and Sharon Showcase. That's when I think that we started really kind of forming our own way, our own Atlanta's own way of being an MC, because so much was patterned after Miami doing them early years. Everybody wanted to be kind of like Shake It Booty, kind of like artists. And it was nothing wrong with that, but it was just like for us, we just knew the importance of being hip hop. We knew the importance of having real content, real subject matter, and real songs. Like we just wanted to make sure that we stood out bigger than just an average just rapper, because that's what most people looked at them as. Like when you go back and look at the years that we came in, you only had the representation of us, Dungeon Family, and the other lyricists at that time was Big Mike, So Serious. So everything else that was from the South, the other big record from the South was Tootsie Roll, Thrill. So if you kind of look in that room, the lyricists were from Atlanta and New Orleans, Houston. So, like to a certain extent, you got to understand, like
And all his mind too.
You know, from that night on, we just felt like y'all put the battery in our back. They put the battery in our back. We had to come back home and get better. We wanted to get better, and we wanted our music to be more creative. We wanted our outfits, our shows. It just made us just go crazy, man, in every kind of way after that.
How did that influence your writing in terms of when you're coming back and seeing these other artists? Did you approach your writing differently, or was there a shift in that, or did you just have more energy behind the way and the style that you were already writing your lyrics?
Oh,
I think
man.
It was confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Confidence.
Right.
It just came with confidence. Because you got to understand, Ms. Lady, our styles, we are the creators of our style. They don't come from nowhere else.
Absolutely.
Right.
When you hear us we are the creators of these styles. So we've never strived to be like nobody else. That's why nobody else could really kind of, you think about it, they haven't been able to duplicate Goodie Mob.
At all.
Goodie Mob wasn't put together by the industry. You
And
know?
You tried them.
Did you feel that kind of, because again, you know, the creative process is such a spiritual one. And I'm sure as you were creating this, that spirituality that surrounded you, you know, I did spoken word, I did poetry for a while. And when I write something that I know is good, I'm like, ooh, this shit's fire. You know, like, it's great. Were you feeling that the entire time when you were writing, like, I'm the shit, niggas gonna love this, they gonna eat this up? Or was there any kind of like, oof, I don't know, I really don't know?
Can we tell the truth, y'all? We didn't hear soul food as all together until it was done. We didn't hear a lot of the records finished. We didn't hear the records finished until the album was coming out. The whole album.
How does that work? How? Like, those are your shit. How not? Like, how did that come about?
That's organized noise, man. Being perfectionists. Being perfectionists who they are. I mean, those guys, they wanted to make sure that their I's were dotted and the T's were crossed, because come on, you're coming from the South and you got artists from New York that's already out, that's been laying the groundwork, like Premier, and you got Jizza, you feel what I'm saying? Then you got the West Coast, you got Dre, and then you got Rap-A-Lot down there. So you got all these prominent producers that have already made a name for themselves. And then you got Goodie Mob and Organized Noise putting that flag up to let everybody know what we doing down here in Atlanta. So I see now why they was really meticulous about doing what they had to do. It was like Gipp said, we didn't hear none of that stuff until it was over, because they wanted to make sure that everything was right, man. And here we are today, 25 years later, you call it soul food a classic right now. You know what I'm saying? They calling it a classic. So yeah, that's what they did, man. They put in work on that record, bro.
For sure.
And in terms of, you know, 25 years ago, would you from 25 years ago recognize you now? As an artist?
Say that again?
Would you from 25 years ago, so you, Timo, when you were writing this, when you're writing the songs and the lyrics that become soul food, would that person recognize you now as an artist, as a lyricist, as a man?
That's a good question. I would definitely say, you know, back then it was a new experience, you know, rapping with 4 people, you know, and trying to make sure that everything, you know, we didn't even really make sure. It was just different rapping, you know, in a group like that, you know what I mean? Doing something with 4 different people, 4 different mindsets, 4 different rap styles, 4 different human styles, just 4 different everything. So back, for me to look at myself back then and look at myself now, I would say, definitely I would recognize myself, because we were making adjustments and making that thing work like we were supposed to make it work, you know, organically. Everything was organic. Nothing was pre-planned, nothing was synthetic. It was all, you know, straight from the dirt. And I definitely can look back at it and say, yeah, I would definitely recognize, you know, what it was when I look back at it 25 years ago and respect it.
Me too, bro. Me too.
I concur.
I concur.
My brother.
And then the last question that I want to leave you all with is, if you had to select just one song from your, it could be from Soul Food, but if you want to expand it from your collection of work, what was the most, to you, has been the most memorable process of creating the song? What is the song that has the most memory attached to its creation for you?
Oh, that's an easy one for me, man. I got to say Didn't Ask to Come for me, because I feel like that's something that all four of us can definitely share and go back in time and really like, yeah, I remember that. I remember how I felt on that day. I remember what was going on that day, because that was a day that one of our partners, had passed, and we was talking about it, and we wrote about it, and just saying that we didn't ask to come. We was put in this position, so since we're here, you're going to have to hear the hurt, the pain, the struggle from four guys from 4 different parts of Atlanta, Georgia, in their 20s. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about we just babes still. 20 years old, 20, 23, 26. We still babes at this age, but we still got the idea, still got the wisdom to talk about the things that we were talking about at that time. So for me, it had to be I Didn't Ask to Come, man. That's amongst many of them, but that's one that stands out to me.
All right. Who's next?
Gippy.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Cell Therapy, man, because it's just I mean,
Popping right now.
You all predicted a lot. You predicted a lot of things.
Popping right now.
Just as far as just being just in your face, raw and uncut right now. I mean, like 20 years old, I ain't never seen a song get stronger 25 years later. Like, I just never seen it before. You know what I mean? So for me right now, it's definitely Cell Therapy, man. I think we took a record and a book and turned it into real life, and it's like amazing.
Absolutely.
Oh, you want everybody to answer?
Absolutely.
I would probably say I'll leave you last, CeeLo Green. I would say probably
Goodie
maybe Goodie Bag. Maybe Goodie Bag. Because Goodie Bag, I can remember we were at Kurt Town. I remember me, CeeLo, Ked, Ray, I want to say Joe was there. I ain't really sure. But I could just remember Curtis Mayfield, was all at Curtis Mayfield's home studio. Wow. And he had a big vocal booth. It was like a whole room, a big room, vocal booth. And I remember Lo was laying on the ground. He was laying on the floor in there in the back, and he was writing his verse. And we was all back there freestyling, just flying, just popping at each other. Kid, we got other people around us that can rap that never really, that unsung for real too. And my homeboy Kid, he was rolling with us that night. We was all rolling, just rapping. And it was just, it was just a real memorable day for me. I could just remember in my head, just remember how it felt that day. And we were just excited and happy and just trying to rap and just didn't exactly know the direction that we truly wanted to go in, but we just let the spirit and the music move us, So it was great.
Facts.
Yay! I'm gonna say Blood. Because I still remember I lived about I lived about 10 to 15 minutes or so away, amazingly from Curtis Mayfield's home studio, which I had never known it was over there for years and years. I lived in Atlanta. And I remember Gipp calling me and said, we put down her song. Like so Blood, let me just give you the history. It's the first song we ever did.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So Gipp said we started, we put down, a song called Blood. We said, like, get over here. So I was really able to get there in really like a matter of minutes. You know what I'm saying? And this song ended up going through like an interesting, metamorphosis because it was the first song that we ever did, but it didn't make the album as a complete song. It made the album as an interlude, right? So then it later on, it was featured, the full length song was featured on an MTV compilation for AIDS awareness called America is Dying Slowly.
So did.
We contributed that song for that project. And then we performed it originally over a Organized Noise instrumental that later became a song called Embrace by Society of Soul, which was Organized Noise's group featuring the producers, lead vocals by Sleepy Brown. So that song has a lot of history to it, and it's interesting to connect all those dots, and it's just like a tapestry. But like I gotta say that one because that was the first one, and then Joe got blood tattooed on him. I got blood tattooed on me. You know what I'm saying? And and it's our thing. You know what I'm saying?
I know I said last question, but as you were speaking, just one more thing came to me. Can you believe where Atlanta is now in terms of hip hop? We always talk about these conversations that Atlanta didn't have a sound. Can you believe it? Like, do you believe it that it has morphed into the thing that it is, and that you did a lot, if not most, of the heavy lifting for it to even be so? Like you all did the heavy lifting, and I think Southern rappers, especially younger ones, I don't know if they take it for granted or if they don't, but they shouldn't, because you guys did all of that front work to bring it to where it is now. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Go ahead, T.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, that I totally can believe it because they look at us, in our group, and they know a lot of people that they know exactly what our contribution was to South, music, to the Southern hip hop culture, but we didn't make it look that fancy to them. Like meaning I ain't no multi-millionaire. I can't say I ain't worth 40 million, 50 million. Like some of these cats are. So, a lot of the youth and the younger artists are more driven by the financial success of hip hop as opposed to coming with some type of music that has substance that's gonna really make people really open up that third eye and really grasp a hold to the true concept of what you're trying to say in your music. But it's all good. It's a business, and a lot of the youth and the younger rappers, they look at the music as a business. They're trying to make some money and trying to get rich to this, which is cool. It is what it is. It's kind of more commercialized right now. Hip hop is real commercial. We had soul food. We took patience. We took our time. We made sure that the subject matter was in place. We took political stances in our music that are not as fashionable to come with these days. A lot of artists don't want to try to, say negative things about the government because they may feel like they may not be as successful if they try to rap about stuff like that. They rather rap about, a fancy car, women, sex, anything that's just kind of real lighthearted. They don't want to really go deep, as we did. We like to take you deep. We go deep. That's just us. So I'm not surprised at where it is. I'm not upset at where it is because the good thing about it is they allowed us to maintain our same lane. So nobody stepped in front of us, so we don't have to wait in line. Nobody want to hear this before they hear that. Yeah. That we still have our own thing going, which is awesome, which is giving us relevance 25 years from now. I had no idea, being as old as I am right now, I had no idea back then that I would still feel this good. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna even front. I thought that you were 48, almost 50 years old. Man, I'm gonna be old news. I'm old and barely moving. I'm thinking 50 years old. That's old. That's grandmama and granddad age. But we still got it. You know, good Lord has preserved us. We are preserved. Look at Gipp. Look at CeeLo. Look at Khujo. You know what I'm saying? Look at that boy Timo. You know, like we still good at mom. You know what I'm saying? And that's a blessing and a half. We still here. Thank the Lord. All my brothers still here. We had to bury nobody. Only thing we had to do is bury the past and open up the door to the future. You know what I'm saying? We're right here, baby. You know what I'm saying? We're ready to go, baby. CTG.
Well, where your collection plate at, boy? Where the collection? Well, put your cash app up there, folks. Now. That's false.
You know what? One thing about the Dungeon family, though, and one thing I can say where we can see our lineage in a lot of what the kids are doing is because we were a large collective. You know what I mean? Like, and not only our performing palette, but our listening palette was really vast too. So a lot of what we were inspired by was filtered through, and our collective was encompassing of a lot. You know what I mean? Like, like there was a lot of us was, straddled over a fence between the street and trying to do something legitimate. You know what I mean? And then some of us went to college. Some of us, like myself, were complete and total dropouts. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we were family men. We came from, two-parent household. Some of us, what I mean? Like, so it's really varied. We had we were the African American collage. You know what I'm saying? Like, all encompassing. And one thing I can say that with the young kids, the generations that come from Atlanta, they got to, in their hearts acknowledge us because we're still around. I mean, like we see everybody, like we're still in circulation. We're still pillars in our communities, and we still embrace and acknowledge, and love on them. I mean, like, and we don't let success, we never let our own successes separate us or sever us from the community, and we're not going to let their success alienate them from us. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome. Right.
So,
well stated.
You know what I mean? Like, so with that, as far as fashion and everything up under the sun, we did it all. You know what I'm saying? Like we spoke more coded, but we was talking about street shit too. We was talking about all kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, but back in those days when we was really hands-on, it wasn't really about being too descriptive or too into this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you use the music like you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like to give yourself some escapism. You know what I mean? Like to act out your ambitions vicariously through it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and damn near not faking it till you make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but take it till you make it. You know what I'm saying?
Take it till you make it. I like that.
So with that, I'll say our kids, and trust me, they go from T.I. and everybody on down, Young Thug and anybody who you want to name, they all younger than us, they all came after us, so they all our children. Gucci Man, all of them. And they are big grown children and very successful, you know what I mean? Like, but that is the chain, that is the food chain, that's the lineage, that's the descendantry. But what I love about their success is, and what I can tell that they learn from us, is that they are successful at being themselves. You know what I'm saying? That's like, right. They ain't got to cater to no politics of New York or LA or nowhere else. I mean, like, we are fundamentally sound and we are facilitated by ourselves, within ourselves, you know what I mean? Like, extroverting our identity onto the world and inspiring everything. You know what I mean? Like, so like Atlanta is great, you know what I'm saying? Like, and mutatable and adaptable and accessible and transparent in that way because of the truth we told.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's real.
Absolutely. And I think that's why I know to me you all are so important, because you were this voice for young Black men you know, in this really strange time, and you have things like funeral where you hear Gipp, he's pontificating about life. Is he going to live? Is he going to die? Dealing with these things. And it's just really, really important, and it stands the test of time. So I am so thankful for all of you for coming today. I appreciate you continuing with your music and for leaving us with something that we can remember for years to come. So thank you all so much. I appreciate you all showing up today. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. You too,
Monique.
sister.
Peace.
We appreciate you.
I appreciate it.
Have a good day, Sailor.
Okay. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.